Well, good morning everybody. It's Friday, and Friday mornings means live album rankings. Today's band in the chair are the one and only Kiss. I've seen them twice. Unfortunately, it was when they wasn't wearing their makeup. I saw them on the Crazy Nights tour twice. Once at the NEC and once at Donington, where I made them headlining. They were special guests. Both amazing shows. The one at the NEC, I didn't get my hearing back for 2 or 3 days properly. It was loud and heavy. Really good concert, and I'm so glad that I did see them. They're absolutely brilliant live. Obviously they were formed in 1973 by that classic lineup of Paul Stanley, Gene Simmons, Ace Frehley and Peter Criss. When I saw them, it was Paul Stanley, Gene Simmons, Eric Carr, was it Bruce Keeley? Still a great show. So they've actually released officially 9. They've also released things that you can, you buy them when you've seen the gig, but they're not what I call, they're just instant releases. But I'm just going to concentrate on the 9 official ones that they have released. And the way I'll rank live albums, if you've never seen it before, it's usually done on the song quality, the production on sound, on the stage, and things like that. It's nothing to do with the normal ranking because they're all near enough the same songs. So I look at each live album and listen to them, and then listen and say, okay, what is the best concert out of them all? And I always listen to these live albums under the headphones at night when I go to bed, because I lay in the dark, headphones on, and I really get into the atmosphere of it. And always after I only get about 3/4 of the way through, but I've heard enough to say yeah. So let's start. Coming in at number 9 then is You Wanted the Best, You Got the Best. Released in 1996. Now this album, it was released to coincide with the world tour from 96-97. All the songs from here are either off Alive 2, and it's got a couple of outtakes and bits, so it's basically a rehash. On this you've got Paul Stanley, Gene Simmons, Ace Frehley, who plays on a couple of tracks, Peter Criss plays on a couple of tracks, and Eric Carr. First track on the album is Room Service, never been released, recorded in 1975, so it's worth having it for that because it's a great little track. It's like Two Timer, again a unreleased track, recorded in 75 again, but they put some overdubs on it which I don't like. Again, Let Me Know, unreleased. Overdubs, again, all these have got overdubs in them, these unreleased, so I'm not very keen on, if you're going to make a live album, just make it, regardless of quality. It's a live album, leave it be. You don't need to go into the studio and clean it up. If your vocal's bad that day, your vocal's bad, or you don't use that concert and record another one. It's very simple. Then we get on to the stuff from Alive, and I'm not going to go too much of it because it's got Rock Bottom, Parasite, Firehouse, Beth, sung by Peter Criss, Rock and Roll All Night. The only good thing about it, there's an interview with Jay Leno at the end. That's 20 minutes. That's quite interesting to listen to. For that reason, I'm only giving it an RTO ranking a 4.5, and that's basically for the interview, because the rest of it, you know, when I brought, I thought, oh, some unreleased stuff. Yeah, you've mucked about with it, you can tell. So it only gets an RTO ranking of 4.5. Okay, coming in at number 8. This is the latest one. They've only released this in the last couple of months. It's called Off the Soundboard, Tokyo 2002. This features Gene Simmons, Eric Singer, Paul Stanley and Ace Frehley. Production wise, it is pretty weak. It, you know, with the modern technology, you thought they could have took this off the has come literally off, as it says, off the soundboard, and you thought they could have made something of it, and I don't think they did. They could have done more with this. It's got the usual tracks on it though: Detroit Rock City, Juice, Shout It Out, Talk to Me, I Love It Loud, Firehouse, Do You Love, Calling Dr. Love, Heaven's on Fire, which is an awful version on this. Oh dear. Let Me Go, Psycho Circus, that's not too bad. Lick It Up, again, doesn't sound right on here. God of Thunder's alright. Love Gun's alright. I Was Made for Loving You doesn't sound particularly good. I was looking for, when I brought this, I thought, oh, this will be good. Wasn't that particularly good. So I'll give it a RTO ranking of 5 out of 10. Coming in at number 7, Kiss Rocks Vegas. This came out as a DVD thing, and on the because it was part of their residency in Las Vegas. On the DVD, you've got them doing a little bit in the Hard Rock Casino, which is pretty good, but it's not on the album. But it's on, some of the tracks are on YouTube. I'll see if I can put a couple of them on for you. But it's a great, it's not a bad version. You've got on this, you've got Paul Stanley, Gene Simmons, Eric Singer and Tommy Thayer. Opens up again with Detroit Rock City, Creatures of the Night, love that song anyway. Psycho Circus, Parasite, really good version actually. Tears Are Falling, Juice, Lick It Up, Hello Hallelujah, God of Thunder, Love Gun, Back Diamond, Shout It Out, Rock and Roll All Night. Okay, it's not a bad album for a live album, but, and I say this with a lot of, you know, regret, but Gene and Paul just can't sing very well these days. Not live anyway. Their voices sound tired and it upsets me. Musically, them two, you know, they're it's still pretty good, but I mean, it's like a lot of the rock singers that I love. You know, they're all most of them are now, you know, 60 plus. I mean, fair play for them to go out and still doing it, but their voices are starting to waver, and for that reason, I can only give it an RTO ranking of 6 out of 10, and I say that with a heavy heart. Yeah, mate, I'm upset that I can only give it 6 out of 10. Okay, then, coming in at number 6, it's Alive 3, recorded in, come out in 1993, part of the World Tour of 92, so it was pretty good. So this is the, sadly, Eric Carr was no longer with them. This was Paul Stanley, Gene Simmons, Bruce Kulick and Eric Singer. I mean, I've seen Eric Singer drum because he drummed with Gary Moore. He's a good drummer. And we got Derek Sheridan, ex Dream Theater and now with Sons of Apollo, who did the keyboards. There's some really good tracks on here because it's got some different ones on. You got Creatures of the Night, Juice, I Just Wanna, Unholy, great hearing that. Watching You, Domino, a really good version of I Was Made for Loving You. I Still Love You, Rock and Roll All Night, Lick It Up, Forever, Take It Off, I Love It Loud, Detroit Rock City, God Gave Rock and Roll to You from Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. Don't get me, I love this album. It's a good production, it's a great show, and I give it an RTO ranking of 6.5, because there are other albums I've done, live albums, I'll be fair. Right, coming in at number 5. Now this was a shock for me, because I'm not very keen on these unplugged albums. They always, everyone seemed, back in the mid-90s, it was the in thing to go on MTV and do an unplugged set. Some worked, some didn't. This one worked. What helped it as well, Gene Simmons contacted Peter, Chris and Ace Frehley, who came on and did some stuff. I'm going to put one of the tracks, I think I'm going to put Coming Home in. Was it one of the tracks that they all sing together? It's absolutely great. And I love this unplugged album. In fact, it's one of my favourite unplugged albums. I've got quite a few, so there's an idea for a show. We might do. So obviously you've got Paul Stanley, Gene Simmons, Bruce Keeley, Eric Singer. Then you got Ace come on and Peter Criss. We had Philip Ashley on piano on here as well. We got Coming Home, Plastercaster, Going Blind. These are all good tracks that sounded really good. Unplugged, Domino, A World Without Heroes, that is fantastic. Unplugged. Rock Bottom was good. I Still Love You, really good live as unplugged. 2000 Man sounded really good. It's the obviously the Stones song. Beth was pretty cool. Rock and Roll All Night, brilliant. Thoroughly enjoy this album. I've watched the video on YouTube a few times, and I give it an RTO ranking of 7 out of 10. Okay, then coming in at number 4, we have a live, the Millennium concert. I said it right. It was recorded, obviously, on the 31st of December 1999 in Vancouver. And it was the original classic lineup of Paul Stanley, Gene Simmons, Peter Criss and Ace Frehley. It should have come out as a live 4 in 2000, but was shelved when Kiss's parent label, Mercury, was swallowed up by the Universal Vivendi merger, and they didn't release it till 2006. But it's still a great concert. Opens up with Psycho Circus, great track that is. Shout It Loud, Juice, Heaven's on Fire. These are all great songs. You know, there's some of these songs that, like I Love It Loud, Heaven's on Fire and Lick It Up. This lineup had never played it together, because obviously they'd left. Into the Void, Firehouse, Do You Love Me, Let Me Go, Rock and Roll, all classics. I Love It Loud. Great version, great version. Love Gun, Black Diamond, Beth on Ear's fantastic, Rock and Roll All Night. Thoroughly enjoyed this album. It was nice to have a live album, an updated live album from the reunion tour, and I think they picked the right concert to do this because it is absolutely brilliant. So I'll give it an RTO ranking of 7.5. Okay, coming in at number 3 is Kiss Symphony, a live 4, performed with the Melbourne Symphony Orchestra, released in 2003. This is Paul Stanley, Gene Simmons, Peter Criss, Tommy Thayer. This is outstanding. I love I think if you know me now, I love orchestra and band. Sounds. I mean, I love the Metallica too. The two S&M albums. Pretty cool. I've got a Yes one that I like. It's just fantastic. What did they do in this gig? They did Juice. They did Strutter. They did these on their own. Just the band, Let Me Rock and Roll, Lick It Up, Calling Dr. Love, and Psycho Circus. Then they came on. The band kicked in, and the version of Beth on here, probably the best version of Beth I've ever heard. Peter Criss. There's only Eric Card used to do a great job of singing Beth, but as far as I'm concerned, this is Peter Criss's song, and he's the only one that sings it. Forever. Yeah, it's got Michael Bolton wrote that. Yeah, it's all right. Shandy. Great little track. Detroit Rock City with the band, the orchestra is fantastic. Shout It Loud. Then we have Great Expectations as another track. It's got the Australian Children's Choir on it as well, and that is just fantastic. I Was Made for Loving You. Great on here. Ends up with Rock and Roll All Night. What a concert. What a performance. And I give it an RTO ranking of 8 out of 10. So we're left to the last two. I think everyone will know which order they'll come in. So coming in at number 2 is Alive 2, second live album. Released in 1977. Obviously it's got the classic lineup. What an album this is. Opens up with Detroit Rock City again. Love that song. King of the Night. Time, brilliant. Ladies Room, classic. Making Love, good. Love Gun, brilliant. Calling Dr. Love, good track. Christine 16. I like the tune, but I'm a bit concerned about the words. It's not one of my favourite songs. Then Shock Me, Hard Luck Woman, Tomorrow Tonight, I Stole Your Love, Beth, God of Thunder I Want, Shout It Loud, the All American Man, Rocking in the USA, Larger Than Life, all these early classics, Rocket Ride, and Any Way You Want It. Superb album. I'll give it an RTO ranking of 9.5. So, coming in at number 1, it is obvious, it's Alive. To me, this is one of the essential live rock albums that everybody should own. This album has got the definitive versions of these songs. This album is superb. I've had it on recorded it off a friend tape. I had it on cassette itself. Got it on CD. I just love this album. Of course, it's that classic lineup. You know who we're talking about. Opens up with Juice, one of my favourite songs. Strutter. Got to Choose, Hotter Than Hell, brilliant. Firehouse, I love that track. Nothing to Lose, Come On and Love Me, Parasite, She, Watching You, 100,000 Years, all classic Kiss songs. Black Diamond, great. Rock Bottom, Cold Gin, oh, it's such a great track, that is. Rock and Roll All Night, of course, and Let Me Go Rock and Roll. Absolutely superb album. I didn't have to put this on under the headphones. I just cranked it up one afternoon. I never know when about. It's a nice sunny day. Opened up the windows, so the whole street were listening to Alive by Kiss. Superb album, and I can only give it one ranking, and everyone knows what that'll be. It's the Big 10. because it is the quintessential. There's 4 or 5 rock live albums that you need, and this is one of them. Okay, that was a good one to do. Love a little bit of live Kiss. I think they've always been better live. Don't get me wrong, I love the studio albums, but I do love some of these early live albums. Okay, last show of the week will be GTR, One Hit Wonder with a surprise. So I will see you all for that later. So take care for now.